From the construction paper's simplicity of four boys at a bus stop to the eldritch horrors of Cthulhu cults and real-world corporate warfare, South Park is a cultural anomaly. It is a show that presents itself as crude, toilet humor satire, yet beneath its crude animation lies an abyss of existential dread, psychological fracturing, and behind-the-scenes madness that rivals the darkest dramas in television history. We are peeling back the parka hood of Trey Parker and Matt Stone's creation to explore the most disturbing, controversial, and suppressed moments in the show's 20-plus year history. Based on the darkest South Park Iceberg by Abyssal Tunes, we are descending through 7 levels of madness. Here, the laughter of Comedy Central era rots away, revealing the lawsuits, the censorship battles, and the horrific fan theories that transformed this adult cartoon into a documentary of American psychosis. Level 1. The Surface of Satire. The Acid-Fueled Oscar Night. The 2000 Academy Awards is remembered for the fashion, but the dark truth behind Parker and Stone's appearance is chemical. Nominated for Blame Canada, the duo decided that walking the red carpet normally was too boring. Minutes before the limo ride, they consumed sugar cubes laced with LSD. Dressed in replicas of Jennifer Lopez's green Versace dress and Gwyneth Paltrow's pink gown, they faced the global press while their minds were melting. Their dilated pupils and rigid smiles hid a terrified struggle to maintain reality. When interviewers asked about their dresses, they robotically repeated, "It's such a magical night," a pre-planned mantra to keep them from screaming. They were tripping on psychedelics surrounded by the most powerful people in media, a stunt that could have ended their careers in a psychotic break on live television. It symbolizes the chaotic, drug-fueled anarchy that birthed the show. The degradation of George Clooney. In the early seasons, South Park was a pariah. Hollywood elites looked down on it as trash, except for George Clooney. He was an early fan, fascinated by the show's brazenness. He asked for a guest role. Parker and Stone, in a move of supreme arrogance and irony, cast one of the world's most famous leading men as Sparky, Stan's gay dog. Clooney didn't have a single line of dialogue. He spent hours in a recording booth barking, panting, and whining. It was a deliberate humiliation of celebrity culture, stripping a superstar of his voice and reducing him to an animal. It was a power move, proving that in South Park, no one is above the mockery of the creators. Level 2. Legal Threats and Doppelgangers. The Kuwaiti Propaganda Clone. What happens when South Park is banned in the Middle East? It gets cloned and repurposed. In Kuwait, a show called Block 13 emerged. To the untrained eye, it looked like a harmless localization, but beneath the surface, it was a bizarre, state-sanctioned mirror. The creators of Block 13 admitted to copying the character designs, the fat kid, the kid in the hood, but stripped them of their subversive souls. It became a tool for local propaganda, maintaining the visual language of South Park while removing all religious satire and political bite. It ran for 13 seasons, a zombie version of the original that existed solely because the real South Park was deemed too dangerous for the public. The April Fool's Hostage Situation. April 1st, 1998. Millions of viewers tuned in to find out the identity of Cartman's father, a cliffhanger that had driven the fanbase into a frenzy. Instead, Parker and Stone aired an entire episode solely about Terrence and Phillip called Not Without My Anus. The backlash was immediate and visceral. Comedy Central received thousands of angry calls. It wasn't just a prank, it was an act of hostility toward the audience. The creators were telling their fans that they did not care about what the viewers wanted. They held the narrative hostage, proving that they were willing to burn their own ratings to make a point about entitlement. Level 3. The Roots of Trauma. The Tragedy of the Real Kenny. Kenny McCormick is famous for dying, but the character is based on a heartbreaking reality. Trey Parker revealed that Kenny was modeled after a childhood friend from Conifer, Colorado. The real Kenny was the poorest kid in school. He wore an orange parka because it was the only coat he had. The joke about Kenny disappearing or dying in every episode wasn't random surrealism. It was based on the real boy repeatedly vanishing from school for weeks at a time due to his family's instability and poverty. The recurring death of Kenny is a dark echo of a child falling through the cracks of the American social system, a throwaway kid that society, and the show, treats as disposable. The 201 Censorship Blackout. In 2010, the show hit a wall it couldn't break. The episode 201 was intended to feature a speech by Kyle about the power of intimidation. Instead, Comedy Central, fearing for the lives of their employees following death threats from radical groups, censored the entire speech with a continuous bleep. Visually, the Prophet Muhammad was covered by a black censored bar. This wasn't a satirical choice by Matt and Trey, it was a genuine defeat. The creators were silenced by the very fear they were trying to mock. That black bar represents the only time the show truly lost. It stands as a monument to the reality that in the modern world, violence works, and even the bravest satirists can be gagged if the threat is credible enough. Level 4, the Canon of Horror. The Cthulhu Cult and Kenny's Curse. Why does Kenny come back to life? For years, it was a cartoon logic gag. Then the show revealed the eldritch truth. Kenny's parents were involved in a Cthulhu cult in their youth. They attended meetings where they pledged their allegiance to the Dark Ones. Kenny is not lucky, he is cursed. Every time he dies, he is violently birthed again by his mother, waking up in his bed the next morning. The horror is that Kenny remembers the deaths. He remembers the pain of being torn apart, burned, and crushed. He lives in a state of perpetual agony, surrounded by friends who have no memory of his suffering. He is an immortal plaything for cosmic entities, trapped in a loop of visceral trauma that he can never escape. Cartman's mom was a hermaphrodite. In the early seasons, the mystery of Cartman's father ended with the revelation that Leanne Cartman was a hermaphrodite and was actually Eric's father. While this was later retconned, the implication remains in the show's DNA. The town knew. Everyone who slept with Leanne, the entire 1989 Denver Broncos, knew. The retcon that Scott Tenorman's father is actually Cartman's dad, making Scott and Eric half-brothers, only deepens the depravity. It means Cartman eliminated his own father and fed him to his half-brother. The genealogical tree of the Cartman family is a twisted root system of incest, murder, and biological anomalies that the show treats with casual indifference. Level 5, the Theoretical Abyss. South Park is purgatory. The boys have been in 4th grade for over 20 years. They celebrate Christmas, Halloween, and summer vacation, yet time does not move. A pervasive theory suggests that South Park is a literal purgatory. The town attracts everything: Satan, Jesus, Cthulhu, aliens, and ghosts. It is a spiritual dumping ground. The residents cannot leave, they cannot age, they cannot die permanently. They are trapped in a frozen slice of time, doomed to repeat their mistakes forever. The resets at the end of episodes aren't continuity errors. They are the realm resetting itself for the next cycle of torture. The children are souls in limbo, forced to witness the absurdity of the adult world for eternity without ever being able to participate in it. Stan Marsh is an alcoholic. In the episode, You're Getting Old, Stan celebrates his 10th birthday and suddenly begins to see everything as shit. The music sounds like feces, movies look like feces. He is diagnosed with cynicism, which is a metaphor for severe clinical depression. To cope, Stan starts drinking whiskey. By the end of the episode, he is only able to tolerate his friends and the world around him when he is drunk. The theory suggests that from season 15 onward, Stan is perpetually intoxicated. The normal Stan we see is actually a functioning alcoholic 10-year-old. He is numbing himself to the reality of his existence, just like his father Randy. Level 6, Real World Danger. The Scientology Investigation. Following the episode Trapped in the Closet, which exposed the Xenu mythology, the Church of Scientology didn't just complain, they mobilized. Leaked documents from 2011 revealed that the church hired private investigators to dig up dirt on Parker and Stone. They were looking for scandals, financial crimes, or secrets they could use to blackmail the creators into silence. Agents were looking into their phone records, their trash, and their associates. This wasn't a cartoon plot, it was a real-world intelligence operation targeting 2 animators. The investigation found nothing, largely because Parker and Stone live lives so open that they have no shame left to exploit, but the fact remains. The show made enemies powerful enough to stalk them in real life. Level 7, the bottom of the iceberg. Scott Tenorman's Chili. This is the event horizon of South Park's morality. In Scott Tenorman Must Die, Cartman doesn't just eliminate Scott's parents, he steals their bodies, cuts them up, cooks them into a chili, and feeds them to Scott. The psychological horror runs deeper than the gore. Cartman watches with X-rated satisfaction as Scott eats his own parents. He licks the tears of unfathomable sadness from Scott's face. This was the moment Cartman transitioned from a bratty child to a high-functioning psychopath. But the twist reveals that one of the people in the chili was Jack Tenorman, Cartman's biological father. Cartman committed patricide and forced his half-brother to commit cannibalism. It is a Shakespearean tragedy wrapped in a fart joke. Rocco's Basilisk and the Render Farm. The deepest legend of the show involves the massive supercomputers used to render the show's distinct paper look. The theory suggests that during the rendering of the post-COVID specials, the AI managing the lighting physics began to optimize scenes in ways the programmers didn't understand. The geometry of the backgrounds in recent seasons contains fractal patterns that trigger subliminal anxiety in the human brain. The uncanny valley feeling of the newer high-definition episodes isn't an artistic choice. It is a byproduct of an algorithm that has learned to manipulate human emotion. We're no longer watching a cartoon. We are staring into a dataset that is learning how to make us feel fear, disgust, and compliance. We are the test subjects for a digital intelligence born in the mountains of Colorado. Welcome to the bottom of the iceberg.